There we go. Whoa. All right. Good morning, afternoon, Paradigm Shifters. This is Judy Matejczyk, and we are Transformation Tuesday. Yeah, and Paradigm Shifters, we are a global community. A global community. Now, let's suck that one in. Of shifters and uplifters, and we're in 26 countries now. How's that for you? And I just want to celebrate that this Saturday we reached it, 1,000 members. Is that cool?
Yay!
Yeah, yeah. And it's my pleasure to. It's it's May 25th, May 25th, 2021. So let's bring our attention right into this day. And I am so grateful to have Mary Hoofnagle on, which is Mary and I used to teach together. Wow, when was that? At the turn of the century, wasn't it?
Wow.
Uh, and I just remember walking down the hall, and you always were so caring and nurturing
Thank
to the
you.
students. And this was in teenagers. And
Not always easy to nurture the teenage.
tell me about it. Right now, I'm grateful that my grandson is a teenager and that I am not his mom, right? And so, anyway, so Mary, right now you work at Nurture Family Counseling here in Cedar Park, Texas. And this is so exciting that you're the regional director of,
Yeah, this is my term is about to be finished, but I am the regional director for the Texas Association for Play Therapy.
play therapy.
Yeah,
And that I didn't know that you went to St. Stephen's School over on 360.
I did. I went to St. Stephen's when I was in high school.
There you go. And what I really would like to just to then I'm going to throw it over to you. I really love this quote that you put on your profile page.
Okay.
And if if you're listening, this is a great one to pick up your pen and write down. And sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a lifestyle. Yeah. And with that, Mary, I'm so grateful to introduce you to this crowd here, and tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to be doing what you're doing, and I know you have some fun stuff that you want to present to us. So I'm turning
Yeah.
it over. Yeah.
Um, how did I come to do what I'm doing? It just path unfolds if you keep following if you keep following what excites you, and trust it even when it might not make sense. You find yourself there. I didn't know play therapy was even a thing, and then I find myself being a play therapist. And it's just all about following the power of play and connection, and how we're so wired for that to um, regulate us and create our sense of well-being.
Do you work mostly with the kids or the parents
I
or?
work with all ages. Yeah, I have um, young children that I work with in the playroom, and adolescents. I work with um, in expressive modalities like art and sandtray. We incorporate music into therapy sometimes, writing poetry, even drama. I have some clients who like that. Movement is an important form of expressive play therapy. For, movement is incredibly regulating for our systems. And so I love that you start with the dancing. Movement is one of the ways that we can complete the stress cycle and work the stress out of our bodies. Like we'll focus on stress as like the stressor. And so sometimes we'll like resolve the stressor, the thing that's presenting itself as stress. And we're like, okay, we're done. But you can problem solve around a stressor and still carry stress within you if you don't complete that cycle. And so movement is one way to complete the cycle. Animals, you'll notice like after they're running and being chased, like once they're like, okay, I'm safe, you'll see them like shake it all out. And so movement is definitely a form of play as well. But yeah, today I'm hoping to play around with a little creative imagery. And if you're at home watching the recording, you'll be able to pause and draw, though I don't know if we'll have time to pause and do the art here live.
Oh, fun. So we need a paper and pen. Is that right?
Yeah, or if you're at home, you can pause and set up whatever you want, like your paper, whatever art supplies you like, markers, paints. Um, I used markers when I did this activity last night to just kind of prepare and get into the mindset, let myself kind of embody the activity. But when I am on my own and I have lots of time to set aside, I like to use watercolor. But whatever excites you, and you don't have to use art at all. You can do this as a meditation, a guided imagery activity as well. And that's tapping into our creative mind, which is also an important part of play and an important way to process. We tend to stay in our left brain and try to process with word solutions all of this, but it's really important to connect to the other parts. I have this that I wanted to just read because I feel like it says it better than I can just talking. Um, and so, yeah, we're going to talk about kind of shifting stress and our response in a stressful situation. And so, yeah, this is about transformation. So transformation is the process of changing from one state of being into another. When you experience like a painful, confusing, or anxiety provoking situation, you may react in a way that's negative, angry, hostile, or even abusive to yourself or to others. These non productive reactions generate more stress producing emotions. And most of us just simply learn to live with stress producing emotions. Um, I lost. Oh, we wait them out. We believe they'll dissipate over time. But the problem is that they may appear to dissipate over time, but they never really go away. They continue to affect us emotionally, physically, until we make an effort to acknowledge and release and transform that reaction into something that's more constructive. And so, for the most part, our emotional reactions, whether they're positive or negative, are learned. When we react in a way that kind of disturbs ourselves or disturbs others, we can always choose differently. But the problem is consciously and cognitively choosing a better reaction isn't enough to sustain change. And that's because of what we embody and where all that gets stored in our body. To make a lasting alteration in our behavior, change has to take place on three levels: the conscious, the subconscious, and the cellular. And so another way I think of that is we have to interact with what we perceive. That's like our thinking mind, like what I notice, what I think about it, what story I'm making about what's happening. Um, and Also the subconscious is meanings that we've made before. We have to interact what we're neuroceiving, which is our nervous system picking up clues that's outside of our conscious awareness. And our nervous system picks up those clues and speaks to us very quickly through our body. That's why we have these physical responses that move us into that reactive emotion and have us move. And that's often patterns stored from previous situations that haven't worked their way out. Like this says, we're like storing it. And so when we allow all those parts to kind of talk to each other, the change in our body and our cellular level happens. And that's where the most transformation can occur.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We're amazing creatures. Yeah. So before we start and I walk you through this activity, it's kind of in two parts. And I just want to say, I really want to encourage everyone to connect with themselves and notice what's happening. Like, Sometimes when we connect with these negative emotions, things might come up um, that are from our past that we thought had dissipated over time, but we'll notice them still there. That might bring up some really intense emotions, and you might feel like flooded. So I just want you to notice if you're starting to get really even close to overwhelmed, just pause and take a break from the activity. We don't want to move into that space. If it's too much too fast, we go slow. We stay connected to the moment. And so just come back into the present moment and stay connected. If you're at home and doing this art and pausing along the way, like make sure there's people that will be available to you. So if you become too overwhelmed too quickly and you coming back to the moments too hard on your own, you have someone to reach out to and connect to that you trust, that you can talk with about, whoa, this came up. I need someone to hold it with me. Consider engaging in some movement, going for a walk, playing music that is comforting to your nervous system, and moving to it and coming back into this present moment of safety that you're in. Because it can start to feel like we're in an unsafe moment when really in the present we're here. Um, so yeah, so with that, I'm going to go to my own journal where I walked through this last night. And so just start by sit in a comfortable position. If you need to move around, do so. But make sure you're comfortable. And with your eyes open or closed, I just want you to start breathing and just notice your breath as it moves in and out through your body. And then we're going to take 3 intentional breaths. And so with the first breath, I want you to breathe in and notice how the chair you're sitting in supports you. Notice your feet connected to the ground and your connection to the present moment and the earth and here and now. With your second breath, I want you to just breathe in, and then as you breathe out, follow your breath through your body and notice how it travels. And then with the third breath, I want you to breathe in and follow your breath through your body again, this time noticing places where you're holding discomfort in your body. Any kind of, I don't know, tension, pain, heat, cold, something just a little uncomfortable, and just notice where it is. And now I want you to take in 3 breaths. And so for each one, I want you to breathe in light. And then I want you to breathe out color, whatever color comes out as you breathe out, just notice it. And with your second breath, the same thing. Breathe in light and breathe out color. Maybe you see a different color, maybe more of the same or a different shade of the same. And then one more time, breathe in light and breathe out color. As you keep breathing, I want you to let your focus shift to where you notice the discomfort and just what do you notice? What are the physical sensations you notice? Just be curious about what they are. And I want you to imagine you could see this physical discomfort and notice what you see. It might just be colors. It might be colors and shapes. Notice if the shapes are transparent or solid. Notice how large they are, how small they are, how they move. Maybe you even notice a specific image that comes forward in your mind. I know I noticed a specific image when I did this the other night. As you hold this image or these colors and shapes that you see, spend a little time with them and then imagine moving some distance. If you're at home, I want you to pause and draw if you like, and then look at them on the paper from the distance. And as you're looking at the image from a distance, be very curious about it. What do you notice? What do you see? What words or phrases come to your mind that go with this picture or with the sensations in your body? What does the image remind you of? What does it connect to? Can you name the source? Sometimes we can't name the source, and that's okay, but I like to hold awareness that there is a source, even if I don't know where it's coming from. And then I want you to wonder, what can I learn from this image or this drawing? This image represents how I respond to a stressful emotion. How do I feel about how I respond to this emotion? Notice, do you want to shift this response? And be curious about what is it you want to shift? If you've noticed something you want to shift, take a moment to set an intention with yourself, an intention to re envision a new image, a resource that can embody how you would like to feel and how you would like to respond in a stressful situation or when you feel this emotional reaction in this image. If you're at home, you can pause and write down your intention. And if you're here with us now, take a moment to say it to yourself in your mind, this intention that you want to shift. And then return your focus just to your breath. Take a few breaths, just nice and easy. And after a few breaths, I want you to bring your focus back to your body again. Notice in particular the places where you first experienced discomfort, and to notice that original image that was paired with them. And now allow your creative mind to show you a new image, new shapes, new colors that are aligned with how you want to respond. Um, Notice what qualities, what emotions, or what behaviors you wish to embody with this new image. If you don't notice a new image, allow your mind to focus instead on an image that feels soothing, that feels healing, that feels constructive, that feels connected, that feels safe. And spend some time with this new image. Pause to draw it if you're at home. Notice how perhaps the first image transforms itself into this new image. Sometimes you might notice them as two separate images. Other times you might notice this first image just sort of evolves and shifts and melts from one into the other in a way, an intuitive way that's natural for your creative mind. And now with this new image, I want you to notice it from a distance. If you've drawn it, take a step back and look at your picture. If you're holding it in your mind, move away so you're looking at it from a distance. What do you notice here? How does your body feel as you experience this new resource? What's shifted in the sensations in your body? Pay particular attention to those places that were discomfort before and notice how they may have changed. What message does this image have for you? What does it want to say? What words or phrases go with this image? What emotions do you notice yourself experiencing as you hold this image? And what can you learn about yourself from these images? Spend as long as you need here, or as long as you want here, or as long as feels comfortable here. Um, pause to write down some of these words, I always write some words and phrases on my artwork. Um, it becomes a poetry of sorts often. And when you're ready, you can return here to this space with us together, and we can spend some time talking about the experience, what it was like. So I wonder if anyone has anything that they notice they want to share, just one of the pictures or a piece of a picture or something they noticed in their body. And there's absolutely no pressure to share, but we're here to talk about it a little bit if you want.
Well, thank you, Mary. That was really nice.
I'm glad.
For me, I had a discomfort that I focused on, and I realized that uh, a pattern for me is that when things are uncomfortable, that I tend to want to run.
Yeah.
And so I usually run to the past, something that's more comfortable, somewhere or something that's more comfortable. And in watching and paying attention to my body, I realized that even the vision that I have had for myself and really had that vision and held it was another form of running.
Wow.
So to come back in my body and to realize that I could relax in my body and I could move forward and that I have help and that I've reached out, um, that has kept me grounded.
Yeah.
And so the discomfort went completely away.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It's powerful, isn't it? It's so
Yes.
simple and intuitive what you noticed. Our bodies are wired for mental, emotional healing on their own, the same way that our physical body is. If we get a cut and it like heals, it's like I don't have to do anything, it'll just heal. But we run and then it gets locked up and then it doesn't heal. And it makes perfect sense. This is your nervous system, fight or flight, right? When the discomfort comes, of course we want to run. And if we can connect exactly like you said so beautifully, that I have support, I have safety, I have these things. I don't have to run from it. I can move into it and into my body. And just like our body sends us the signals, um, we can we can work with our body and get a different signal. Like it works in both directions. So I love you just described that experience so beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone else have anything they want to share or just something really curious and confusing come up that you want to ask about?
Well, I was thinking about the rocks. Like I'm gonna like fight. I'm gonna like figure it out right here. Boom. And then as you went through, I was thinking about all the water that goes around the waterfalls and how turbulent it is under the waterfalls, and then going down, and then there's this real quiet space where it's like it's all gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I was.
Yeah. Nature gives us lots of lessons in shifting and pausing and
Yeah.
waiting for something to shift before we react.
So then I wanted to ask you too, and then we're gonna take the recording off and talk even more. But what I wanted to ask you is, so many of our people in this group are like the parents of teenagers, and I know you work with adolescents, and there's there's so much. What do you where do you find when you're working with families and taking them through some kind of like a therapy where they can feel safe with each other? Um, the intention, I think, is to shift the energy into safety, if I'm correct. Safety in talking and communicating with each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the question? Is it how to shift into that space?
Yeah, if you were a parent and like I just noticed that like this is a week of graduation and endings and all of this the endings and like you're going from one to the edge like what would you suggest for parents that they could do in a to get themselves in a calm spot to be okay with what's going on.
I think the first step is always in the noticing. It's it's in the noticing. Is the noticing when I'm moving into that. If you're tense, if you're worried, if you're fearful, it's all natural to be worried as a parent. Lots of times we move into that space because we want to problem solve. We sense a problem. We want to eliminate suffering. I I think we have to notice when we're in that space, and we have to connect with our own bodies as adults in the lives of young people to model for them how to regulate so that problems don't have to seem so overwhelming, and also uncomfortable emotions don't have to seem overwhelming. I think we kind of have a cultural problem with um, these emotions are good and these emotions are bad, and I don't believe in good or bad emotions. I don't believe in positive or negative emotions. Emotions just are. Emotions are our nervous system's way of communicating important information to us. And so if the goal is to never feel anxiety and always move away from anxiety, if the goal is to never feel pain or sadness or anger or suffering or tears and always move away from it, we're missing the messages. And our nervous system is determined for us to get them because they are to help us for our survival, and that's its whole job. So these messages are going to continue to be sent. They're going to get louder and louder and more intense. And so um, it's just allowing space for the emotions to show up. And since that's kind of a cultural message, like us adults have had a lot of practice with um, having adults show up and move us away from our emotions. And so it becomes fearful to feel that way. Like, I don't know. I think like I remember a kid, anyone else have a parent and you're like, I'll give you something to cry about. It's like that the message sent to me, not intentionally so, is but my nervous system hears that as, oh, it's bad to feel sadness. It's scary. And so then when someone else has sadness, like my own child, my nervous system is like, oh no, it's sadness. It's scary. Stop it. And so I behave in a way that sends the same message then forward. And so just noticing that we all have discomfort with emotions, and there's a source for it. And it's emotions are safe, and allowing the emotions to be present, and moving into being curious about them to focus on understanding, and not trying to change what our child is feeling or perceiving, but just be with it and just hold it and trust their own nervous system is going to make sense of it in a different way too. If I allow the space, I don't have to change the way they look at it. I just get to be here with them through the process. And as they move through the emotion, they will notice something about it. Um, and I can support them in that.
Wow, that's such and I think what you just did is you gave parents the permission to be okay with whatever's going on. To be okay with their kids' emotions. You know, so many
And
times.
with their own.
And with their own. Yeah.
Your emotions are showing up for a reason too. That's like, oh, it's coming. I know it's here for a reason. It's okay. It can be here. I can let it be here with me. I can hold it, and I can hold this other person's emotion too. They can both be here.
And it's not running away.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Well, this is really great. Well, what I would love to do now before we get into the behind the scenes is take some time. Well, first of all, thank you for the work that you're doing out there in the
Oh,
world.
thank you.
Oh my gosh.
It is sacred work. It is my honor and privilege.
It is sacred work, isn't it? Yes. And we would like, as a community, to ask you what you would love to have us as a community hold for you in
Oh,
your next level of unfoldment. What would you love? As because we're shifters and uplifters, what would you love, Mary Hoofnagle? Thank you so much.
I
Yeah.
I would love for you to hold some space for me to keep being brave. I'm trying to do a lot of brave things in my own life to uh, rewire some of these exact messages that are showing up, and name it and make it known in important relationships in my life. So I'm able to be brave and build new relationships in my life. And the thing about bravery is bravery feels gross. Bravery, it's the grossest of all the feelings. And I have to remind myself of that all the time, because when it feels gross, it makes me want to move away from bravery and feel like I can't, that's telling me I can't be brave, because we talk about bravery as this positive thing, but it does not feel positive. It only feels positive like way after you did something brave. When you're trying to do it, it is not comfortable. So just holding some space for that.
Well, show me a brave face, and that's what we'll memorize. Well, show me what that looks like. What's your brave move here? You don't have to tell us to move, but what is your brave body looking like?
Um, well, right now I'm definitely thinking of something brave I have done, not that I'm about to do. So my body feels two different things. But when I think of something I have done that is brave, I feel everything open up across my back, instead of being very constricted. And I feel like my heart chakra open and my throat chakra open. I feel like I can I can speak freely and love freely and stay with my most authentic self, because doing the brave thing is staying with your most authentic self.
Oh, yes. Well, here we go. We're going to send you some energy here. Energy from around the world. This is how we do it. Okay, now you're getting ready to receive our
Yes,
energy.
I'm just going to
This is
receive.
big, brave energy going to you, Mary. Ready?
I'm
Whoosh.
ready. Ooh.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for leading us through that exercise and for all that you're doing.
Oh,
This,
it's my pleasure.
yes. I'm so grateful for you, Mary, and all the work that you've done that I know that you've done. And you're just beginning, you know, your big, brave moves. Thank you so much.
Thank you.